Here in Canada, we have a love-hate relationship with snow. I love getting a deep dump of powder when it's snowboarding season, but when it's the fall and you plan on going skateboarding, you get this little tiny bit of snow, it just ruins everything. So what do you do when you had planned to go out skateboarding and you need to make alternate arrangements? I've come up with a way to get a workout in while at the same time building on some skateboarding skills, and I thought it would be worth sharing with you. 90% of this workout can be done with only a skateboard. What you see here is what I use to maximize my efficiency of training and of working out. I have a skateboard with skate stoppers, or in this case tennis balls. I have a blank deck with no trucks or wheels attached, and I've got two 10-pound dumbbells. If, like me, you can't find skate stoppers in stock anywhere, I found this great hack which is cheaper and just as effective to cut 4 tennis balls and put them over your wheels, and it works just as well. So let's get started with our cardio warm-up. And this is going to be essentially using our skateboard almost like one of those steps that you use in an old school aerobics class. So for a minute, we're going to jump, putting one foot down on each side of the board and resting the other foot on the board. The key thing here to really make this work is to keep your legs bent all the time. So you're really starting to feel it in your upper thighs and your calves. You've probably noticed when you show up at a skate park, your first few runs feel a little bit off, and that's because your muscles aren't warmed up yet. This warm-up round is really important because in the next steps we'll be doing some ollies, we'll be doing some nollies, we'll be simulating some grinds and manuals and board slides, so this will get our body ready for those steps. And that's a minute. All right, this next exercise is going to get our cardio going, but it's also going to help us getting used to spinning both front side and back side while doing that. So we're going to set our watch for 1 minute. And we're going to go jumping on the board, off the board, while always spinning 180 degrees. Timer on. Again, weights are optional. Just add a little bit more resistance. Muscle memory is so important in skateboarding. What you want to be able to do is land your tricks with your eyes closed essentially. So getting used to the spinning when you're doing 180s, when you're reverting out of a trick, that's going to be really helpful. So what you should do is always try to get your feet landing on the bolts as you're doing this exercise, and it'll get you used to keeping the feet at the right spacing. Also, I do it at the end of this exercise, but I encourage you to mix it up the direction that you're spinning. So you're not always doing the same thing. You can get used to going front side, back side, mixing it up so you don't get into that pattern. You can be comfortable doing it any which way. And that's a minute. All right, so we're gonna take our weights. We're gonna get ourselves set up. We're gonna concentrate on getting into a deep squat and jumping. In the meantime, we get some practice for our ollies and our nollies. This is such a fantastic exercise because you get that weighted squat combined with the explosiveness of the jump in your ollies and your nollies. Plus, it's really good for practicing some of the fundamentals of skateboarding. I, as you can probably tell from watching this, don't practice my nollies enough, so I figure by doing this at least a couple times a week, I'll get better by the time the snow is melted. You'll notice that I'm using a bare top deck here with no grip tape. That does make it more challenging for things like ollies, nollies, kickflips. But when you're doing it indoors on a carpet, it is helpful to preserve your carpet, to preserve your house, and most importantly, to preserve your marriage. I'll be honest with you guys that I actually meant to do 14 and miscounted, so if you're superstitious and don't want to do 13, you can round up to 14 or round down to 12, whichever you feel more comfortable with. Okay, now we're going to take our skate stoppers off and move on to some core and upper body work. So for this one, you'll get into a high plank position and put your toes onto the skateboard. Then we alternate between rolling our toes right up to our chest, extending them out, and then doing a push-up. And we're going to do this for 12 reps. Halfway there, guys, 6 more to go. Great work. So next we're going to move into some skateboard assisted lunges with a curl added on. So when you're lunging back with your foot on your skateboard, just make sure that your front knee isn't extending out over your toe for your own health. The other thing, you can do this with weights or without. Just make sure you get a nice deep extension on your lunge. And for this one, we're going to do 10 on each side. So we're going to do 10 on one leg, then switch to the other. Alright, nicely done. So now we're going to move back into some skateboarding drills, which will also provide some exercise as we do them. This is a really fun drill. For the next 90 seconds, we're going to work on our grinds. Now we're not actually going to be grinding anything, but we're going to be doing the most important part in my opinion, which is getting onto the ledge and getting off of the ledge. If you ever have trouble getting to the right spot and locking in properly in your grinds, it might be because you haven't spent enough time working on that muscle memory. So this is a really good exercise for doing that. So you can see I'm using a mat on the floor, but you can really use anything that'll give you a target to shoot for. Could even be a line of tape on the floor. So we're going to work on ollieing onto our ledge or our rail and then ollieing off of it. To maximize your skill development in this exercise, I would suggest mixing it up to do part frontside and part backside, or you could spend more time focused on developing your weaker side. To keep this drill fun and challenging, don't be afraid to mix up your grinds. Now, my repertoire is limited pretty much to 50-50s and the occasional 5-0 and feeble, but this is a good opportunity to try something new that you wouldn't be comfortable trying on a rail or a ledge. For example, before you try your first blunt slide down an 8-stair hubba, this is a really good way to get some practice and locking in and getting your targets right. So for this next drill, you can see I've got a balance board. Now if you don't have a balance board of your own, don't worry because they're terrible and they don't really help you all that much anyways. What will work best for this next drill, where we're going to practice our board slide balance, is a small dumbbell like this one here. This one is rubber coated, so it's not as slippery as a metal one, so if you have that, that would be great. But if not, you could find anything that'll act like a rail that you can use as a center point for balance. If you don't have a board with no trucks or wheels, you'll just need to find something that's a little bit taller, but I'm sure you've got something kicking around the house that can work for this exercise. We're going to go for a minute here. I'm sure you won't be able to go the full 60 seconds on your first try, but the more you do this workout, the more you'll get better and hopefully be able to hold that board slide longer. The other thing you can do to add to the realism of this exercise is set a target, say holding a board slide for 10 seconds, and then exiting the board slide by turning your body 90 degrees to get out and land your board slide. Well, if you've made it this far, we're on to our second last exercise, and the last one is just the bonus round. So we're now going to work on our manual skills. And you can use a regular skateboard for this, just manualing in place, but I actually find it's a little bit more challenging using the balance board effect with the dumbbell underneath the blank board, as I did in the last exercise. So use whichever one suits you using the tools you have. Once again, we're going for 60 seconds in this exercise, but the real reason we're doing that is to keep the overall workout down to 10 minutes. You can do this, or any of the exercises for that matter, for as long as you want. You can also do these exercises in multiple sets if you want a 10-minute workout, a 20-minute workout, a 30-minute workout, whatever you have time for, whatever you feel like doing that day. And that's a minute. You should have worked up a pretty good sweat by now, but we're going to end on a high note with a bonus round if you have it in you. We're going to do some kickflip burpees. So basically, you do a kickflip, then you get down and do a push-up, get back, do a kickflip, push-up, keep going until you can't do any more or until you fall. Whew. Well, there's another warning for you, is make sure you do this in a place that is clear of hazards, where you have enough space to operate, because primos are always a possibility. Anyways, thanks so much for working out with me today, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in more content about skateboarding, surf skating, surfing, snowboarding, subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Thanks a lot.